yourself. So when people see you, so this is the act of a Muslim. So that is the message of tamayyuz. But in tamayyuz, in differentiating yourselves, you need to mingle around so that you can spread this is the character of a Muslim. Yes, I am different from you, but what I'm trying to tell you is that this is how a Muslim should actually act. We are actually doing this and this because of this. We come to class early because we are Muslim, for instance. So you see, because Islam teaches us to be punctual, for instance. So there's need to be differentiation so that we can actually send them this message of Islam. All right, and then the next point is basically, this is another political topic, but then again we can actually take some points from it. Defending the state. In the constitution of Medina, all right, the Jews and all the non-Muslims have the responsibility, the same responsibility as the Muslims to protect that state itself. So how can we actually take example from this? I don't know, in a sense, I'm probably wrong, but in the UK itself, all right, do we have the responsibility for us to actually make sure that the state of the UK, England for instance, are in peace? Do we have the responsibility or not?
Who's we?
Yeah, us Muslims.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, you see. So the Prophet is sending the message that even though you're not in the same agreement with us in terms of religion, but the responsibility to make sure they ensure that you are safe, your families are safe, and people in this state are safe, you have the same responsibility as us, as Muslims, to ensure the safety of the state. All right, so that is one important component in nation building. All of the people inside that community, inside that state, must ensure that we are safe. Even in our community, how do we act exactly? I know in Malaysia, contrary to popular belief, Malaysia is not really like 90% Muslims, no. We're only like 55% or 60% of Muslims. So like in my area where I live in a non-Muslim area, basically. But then again, Muslims in that area, we don't tend to actually make sure that our non-Muslims brethren are being helped. We don't care whether our neighbors are basically, I don't know if they have eaten enough, if they have any problems. Do we help them when they are moving houses, for instance? The sense of community are not there. We tend to actually just mingle out, make sure that Muslims go to mosque. Okay, we are good, we can eat. We have enough food to break our fast, that's fine. So we can't do that. If we live in a community, we need to ensure that our community is actually safe, or I don't know, they are being treated equally, for instance. If they don't have enough food, the mosque needs to provide them with the food. So this is the message that the Prophet Muhammad wants to actually send across. All right, even if we live in a community where there are not many Muslims, in Dunkirk, for instance, we should do something. Actually, well, in Dunkirk there are mostly Muslims, but mostly internationals, isn't it? So yeah, but still.
My nickname is Dean Kirk.
Really?
Dean Kirk.
Wow, that's a good one. So that's the thing, defending our community is a role and responsibility of all of us, regardless if that community is an Islamic community or not. If it's an Islamic state or not, there's a responsibility. And I'm really out of voice, really. But yeah. Oops. All right, and the last one, we are trying to discuss about the rights of non-Muslims here. This is really quite important, really. One of the articles in the Medina Constitution, one of them saying that no Jew, highlighting the Jews or the non-Muslims, will be wronged for being a Jew. This is explicitly said by the Prophet in the Medina Constitution. No Jew shall be wronged by the fact that he is a Jew. The same thing applies to us. No Christians, no atheists, no agnostics, no humanists, no secularists shall be treated wrongly because he is that. No. We cannot treat a person just because he is not in the same religion as us. Just because we don't agree with them, we cannot treat them badly. Example from our country, again, but still, there's quite an interesting point of view to take a look at. There are even like, I don't know, when we say that majority are Muslims, we tend to actually, even there are people in our country, basically, when there's there's one point where the government decided to demolish a Hindu temple. All right, wasn't it recently a Hindu temple?
In Malaysia?
Yeah, in Malaysia, because there, I think it's mainly because of developmental and structural problems. All right, but then again, the Muslims in our country, a group of them are actually happy. They actually, yes, we shall do this. We shall not have a Hindu temple in our country. So what is wrong with that? That's really wrong. Islam doesn't teach us that. Just because you're a Hindu doesn't mean that he can't practice his religion. Do not judge a person by whatever he has. You should not treat them wrongly. What we should do, we should have a sense of love to them so that we can bring them to Islam. And this is what the Prophet wants to send across the people of Medina, the people of Islam, the Ansar, the people who migrated. It's a quite different environment because in Mecca, majority of the Muslims were actually being tortured, being mocked, humiliated, terrible hardships. They are difficult situation. When you come to Medina, do not do the same thing what has happened to you. If you don't like being judged or being humiliated, being mocked because you're a Muslim, do not judge other people because they are different religion from you. Simple. So that is one of the key messages to be put across. And then there's a debate between equality and justice. See, that's another, I don't think I can. Well, that's another thing. We see that Muslims were prescribed to actually pay zakat. And then the non-Muslims, they do not need to pay zakat, do they? They pay jizya. There's a different form of taxation. And then there's a debate going on. So does that mean that there's unequal rights, unequal responsibilities between Muslims and non-Muslims in a state?
But isn't zakat higher than jizya?
Not necessarily.
Unnecessarily, yeah.
Isn't jizya determined by the person? It has to be a fair amount. It has to be payable. No, it's a fixed thing, but it's fixed by the person who's in charge of the state. And actually, I think there was this old Jewish guy who Ibn Khattab was actually returned his jizya. He wanted to return his jizya money because he felt that he hadn't given him proper service. So the actual concept of jizya is so the person gets protection. You get the protection of the state, and I think you'd get far more protection than the UK gives you. But to be fair, the NHS is pretty good.
I think this is a part of the social contract theory that because it's pledging allegiance to a state that I'm going to follow your ways, I live to your civil obedience, right? So I think you have to understand that I don't know how we see it today, because Islam was based on a religion, right? Now we have many philosophies that exist today, so basing a whole state on religion seems ludicrous to some people now. You know, we need to have democracy and freedom of goods, etc. And you lose out an objective source code there. So I don't know how we can implement it pragmatically. But I still feel that in terms of, from what I've read anyways, I think that even though it may vary from person to person, I think what we should be doing is the Muslim tax, I think, should be 2.5%, but I think that should be higher than what the non-Muslims should be paying, because they're not submitting to Allah as a
true.
Surely it's a case by case situation.
It is actually,
So you can't say it should be higher or lower.
No, I mean, if I were to rule, that's how I would rule it. I mean, that's how I would rule it.
Okay.
So Shuaib's country shall be like that.
You just said that you don't actually want a Islamic state.
No, that is a hypothetical situation, thought experiment.
Let us have Shuaib as our Prime Minister, shall we? Shuaib for PM.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
First thing was that you mentioned about equality. The problem with the people nowadays is that when they consider the word equality, they don't think about the word equity. Because equity is judging in terms of as you can say, if you have different animals and all of them you test by telling them to climb on a tree, obviously the others would fail at it, such as a fish. A monkey would easily climb a tree. So Muslims and non-Muslims, they are different. So you cannot say that by just one thing such as zakah and jizya, they're different, so there's no equality. Whereas if you see in the society there of Medina, there was equality, and even there was an instance when one of the non-Muslims, I think he was a Jew, that he went to the Prophet ﷺ regarding a case with Muslim that they say that the scholars have ruled out as a munafiq.
Yeah.
So the Prophet ﷺ ruled in favor of the non-Muslim and he went to Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu. And the story then continues that he was then beheaded by Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu.
Who is this?
This guy, Muslim, he went to the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ issued the decree that you are wrong and the non-Muslim is right, give him his right. So he thought that Umar is, he's more towards the Muslims, more harsh. So he went there. So he went to him and he complained. So then the non-Muslim, he said that before you say anything on me, the Prophet ﷺ has already ruled in favor of me. So he went in, he brought out a sword and he just knocked the guy off.
Umar ibn Khattab killed him. Where is the source for this story?
Huh?
Have you got a source for this story?
I'll get you the source.
Yeah. Do you know the name of the guy? What's the name of the guy?
I don't remember the name.
So before we go on, sisters, any opinions in terms of jizya versus zakat, or in terms of what is the role of equality or justice instead of Islam? Any thoughts?
You do know that scholars over the time have
Your
different...
sister.
Sorry, oh sorry.
No, it's all right.
No.
If you want to, yes, please. Trying to point out the point. Yeah.
What's it called? I think scholars do over time, they have changed. So for example, if you look at the time of Abu Khattab, he offered, I think there was an army who did pay him some amount, a non-Muslim army. But because Umar Khattab couldn't keep up with the protection, they gave them the money back of the jizya. So I think it's very, as Shah said, it might be dependent on the case by case.
Yeah, that is one example. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the main thing is that you cannot tax them hard. So if you look at the time of Abu Bakr, for instance, he ordered all the governors, don't overtax them that they hate you.
Yeah.
Keep them lenient. So I think it is dependent on the ruler. I think for now circumstances, it makes more sense to have it less. Like 40% UK is like a rip-off compared to the 2.5 in Islam. So we should try to promote the zakat.
Any thoughts, sisters, or anybody else? So no, the point being is that if you have anything, just raise up your hands and you can say anything. The point is that I think Islam sends a bigger message. We know how people nowadays are promoting equality between genders, etc. People should have the same thing. You should have the same thing. Like why do we need to pay zakat? If we need to pay zakat, why do people need to form jizya? Islam sends across a bigger message than that. It's not just about being equal, or you need to pay the same amount, or you need to do the same thing. Islam sends across the concept of being just, being putting the right people in the right place, the right situation, with the right numbers. If you are in this situation, you should do this. If you're in this situation, you should do that. So that's the concept. Islam brings more than just being equal or egalitarian. That's what we say. The society we are now promoting is an egalitarian society. A society where everybody has the same amount of rights, same responsibilities, which is quite true. But Islam brings a stronger message than that. It brings the fact that you need to be just. Right?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
If somebody is being oppressed, he needs to be helped. If a state, if a country, whether non-Muslim or Muslim, is being oppressed, you need to be just and treat them as appropriately. And if the oppressor has done that, he needs to be judged accordingly. So there is a bigger message across. So going further on. And then lastly, cooperation between all the Muslims and non-Muslims. This cannot happen. A state cannot be built without any cooperation with its members. All right. I'll show you a point here, but yeah. The main thing in the time of Medina, when actually all the people, I can't remember which war was that. I think it's between Battle of Hunayn. I think before Battle of Khaybar, isn't it? Where there's a group of Jews who have betrayed the Muslims. And then they sided with the group of the Quraysh, people from Mecca. All right. And at that point, the Prophet Muhammad actually brought back all these Jews. They need to face justice. They need to face the punishment from what they did. And because of that occasion, all right, the Medina state nearly lost. Because I can't remember which war is that. I need to.
Khandaq, the trench.
Khandaq, wasn't it?
Where they mistreated, where they made an alliance in the middle of
Yes,
the war.
yes.
Khandaq, the
Yeah,
trench.
Khandaq, yeah, the war of Khandaq.
Yeah.
So exactly. So there's an example where exactly there are groups of people who are trying to actually betray the society, betray the country which they are living in, to ensure their own benefits. So this cannot happen. The Prophet Muhammad said initially in the Medina Constitution, all members of this country, all the citizens of this country, need to work together to protect this country. All right. And at the end, if anybody, Jews or Muslims, who betrayed them, shall face punishment. That's what happened in the Battle of Khandaq itself.
The trenches, right? When they made
Yeah,
that trench.
Battle of Khandaq, sorry, Battle of Trench, yeah. Sorry, Khandaq. All right. So these are quite several few points. Even more examples of how Prophet Muhammad respected the beliefs and the cultures, traditions of the people of Medina. For instance, when there's a funeral procession of a Jew, Prophet Muhammad stood up. Even then, there was a wedding. I think there was a wedding where the people of Medina, they brought about, was it dancers or singers? Can you remember?
Which one?
And there was this wedding in Medina, where there was a ceremony where they brought in like dancers or I'm not sure.
European dancers, yeah.
Yeah. And the companion asked me, Muhammad, is this all right? Is this okay? Is this okay? So Muhammad said, if this is the tradition of the people, in Arabic called the uruf. The uruf is the custom, sorry. So if this is the custom of the people here, then we shall respect that custom. Plenty more examples. So basically, this main point is basically how we treat non-Muslims, people who are from different religion from us. How we treat them. I need to stop here. I have taken out 1 hour. It's not fair to Fakhruddin, isn't it?
No, I mean, what's it called? You don't need to worry, inshallah. If it takes over time,
Yeah.
just make sure you ask the people. And if we don't want to continue, we can book another lesson on Thursday and finish it off on Thursday. There's no problem.
Yeah. All right. So passing on to Fakhruddin, he shall be touching on Hudaybiyyah.
Do you guys just want to give people 5 minutes, just resting time?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Or do you have any questions you can ask, or anything that probably wasn't clear or wasn't in agreement with what you have read? They can easily say you are wrong. I don't mind. I can easily be wrong, can I?
Any questions?
Yeah. If I can't answer it, Shuaib will answer. So yeah.
This is your lesson, bro.
Huh?
I'm assuming it.
So I left my book there. If that's all right.
Just give 2-3 minutes and let these people.
Do you want me to? Oh.